Hey guys, welcome to tonight's live webinar. Thank you all very much for purchasing our Prime Day Deal special. It was a great opportunity to take advantage of getting Jungle Scout at a fantastic price. The goal of tonight's webinar is going to be to walk you guys through a little bit how to use the tool, and I'm going to give a demo relatively quickly. And then after that, I'm going to start answering all of the questions that you guys have submitted. So thank you very much for all your questions. If there's extra time after getting through all of the pre-submitted questions, then I'm happy to answer some of the questions out of the chat box. It looks like we have a lot of people tuning in. Looks like, let's see, Rachel is coming in from Minnesota. We have someone joining us from the UK. They say it's 1 a.m. Thank you very much for staying up. A couple of people are joining from California, North Carolina. Awesome. So thank you guys very much. And let's go ahead and dive right into my slide deck, not waste any time. So, if you're not familiar with who I am, I'm Greg Mercer. I'm the founder and CEO of Jungle Scout. And if we rewind back to 2012, I worked as a civil engineer. I hated my job and I was really looking for a way to get out of it. And I ended up finding out about selling on Amazon. I was able to grow a business off of that, which ultimately led to me to quit my job. Built up that e-commerce business. One thing led to another. And then I actually started to build Jungle Scout as a way to kind of scratch my own itch. So what I was finding is some products I was launching were doing really well, others weren't. And I ultimately figured out that this was mainly because of the demand on Amazon for my products. I was able to develop algorithms to estimate this demand, and that's how Jungle Scout was ultimately born. And I'll share some more of this with you tonight. So throughout this session, we're going to be covering some of the keys to successful Amazon product research. I'll give you guys the brief overview, like I said, and then I'm excited to jump into your questions that you guys have already submitted. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into the tool. And the first one I'm going to open up here is inside of Jungle Scout. Okay. Now, for all of you who bought the bundle, you know that at Jungle Scout, we have two different tools. So right now, I'm inside of Jungle Scout, and it is a web-based software product, okay? And then the other tool that we're gonna be using tonight is the extension. So with the extension, you install it into your Chrome browser. You can see the little JS I have up here on the top right-hand side. And when I click it, I see this pop-up that has a whole bunch of data into it. And we'll cover a little bit more with that soon, but I just wanted to start with that because that's oftentimes confusing for people, the difference between Jungle Scout and our extension. All right, so inside of Jungle Scout, there's quite a few different pieces of functionality in here, okay? So under Find Products, this is where we'll be spending a good portion of our time tonight. And this is to help you find product ideas as well as monitor the competition. Underneath Find Suppliers, we built this really cool way to find what suppliers your competitors are using. We also have a keyword research tool and a tool to build listings from these keywords. And then you'll also find some more information inside of the Academy where we are continuing to release different videos to help you guys sell on Amazon. Once you become an Amazon seller, then you can start to dig into our launch functionality, and we have some other exciting stuff coming out soon. That's all included with your existing Jungle Scout subscription. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know I have a lot of questions and I see there's different people at all different stages, but let me just give you kind of like a 1 to 2 minute walkthrough about how I go about kind of finding different product ideas. I'll give you a quick demo of the Find Suppliers tool as well as the keyword tool. And we should be done with all this demo within the next 10 minutes. And then the rest of the time is spent answering all of you guys' questions. So when I'm looking for a new product idea, big picture, I want to find something that's in high demand with low competition. And ideally, I'd be able to make some improvements on that product. So let me show you how you can use the product database to come up with product ideas like this, okay? So the product database, what we've done here is we've rebuilt Amazon's catalog in a way that's user-friendly for sellers just like you to search through. And I'm gonna start by choosing a few categories. Oftentimes people ask me like, hey, what's the best category to sell in? And the truth of it is there's no like 1 or 2 categories are like way better than the rest. The only ones I like to stay away from are the ones that are more complicated, or products like electronics or other things that easily break. I prefer more simple products that would be like more easily manufactured. So let's choose arts and crafts. We'll do automotive, home and kitchen, and I'm just choosing a few here that I know will have probably some good products in it. Now, I said I'm looking for something with high demand, low competition, and ideally I can make some improvements on the product. So I'm gonna say, hey, show me all of the products that sell at least 300 units per month, okay? Have less than 50 reviews, because that means that like it hasn't been around really that long. And the max rating, I'm gonna say 3.7 stars. And I'm saying 3.7 stars because that visually shows 3.5 stars, which is pretty bad on Amazon. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I've ever bought anything on Amazon that had 3.5 star rating, okay? So what this is showing us is like, hey, customers are still buying these. It has a decent amount of reviews, but not too many. And it gets a pretty poor rating. I'm actually gonna do this 1 to, let's do like 3 to 50, just so they have enough to, be kind of like significant. So I can go ahead and hit search. And this is showing me all of the products on Amazon that meet this criteria, okay? So, we started off with whatever it was, 80 or 100 million products. Now we're down to 13,000, which is still a lot. But this is how I go about getting my product ideas. You can see that in here, there's quite a few like kind of obscure type products. And if you're just sitting in your office and just trying to think up product ideas, it's very difficult to do. And that's what's so great about this is instead of sitting around your office trying to think of these different ideas, you can go in here and you can find a bunch of these ideas so that really help you kind of spark your imagination. So let's see, what are we working with in here? Let's see. There's got to be something strange in here for us to look at. Let's see, we have all right, let's take a look at this one real quick. This is a vintage style pint jar with a pump dispenser, okay? Now, it looks like they actually just ran out of stock, but let's go ahead and read the reviews and see what people are complaining about. The top rusted quickly. The metal cap tends to get rusty around the rim. The lid soon corroded and became dirty. So right away, I know that customers are purchasing this even though it gets bad reviews. And it's pretty clear after literally spending 15 seconds live with you guys what's wrong with this product, and it's that the lid gets rusty or corroded, right? So imagine if we sold a very similar product or the same product but used like stainless steel instead of this metal top that rusts or corrodes pretty easily. So this is how I go about finding these product ideas. And again, if I was just like sitting at my office, I would never think of selling a vintage style jar with a pump dispenser for soap. I just wouldn't ever come across my mind. So that's how the product database is really powerful. Once I've found some products, so let's find some more products here. I'm gonna do pint jar soap dispenser. All right, it looks like there's a handful of different ones here. Once I've found some, what I can do and what I like to do is I like to store these products inside of my product tracker, okay? So I'm just gonna copy the URL right here. I'm gonna jump in here to the product tracker. I'm gonna make a new group. This one's in the United States. And I'm gonna do jar soap dispensers, all right? And it actually comes up with a bunch of different ideas here. And what I can do is I can create this group. So I'm gonna add some of these soap dispensers to my group. And I like creating these groups for a number of different reasons. One reason is that I can see on a day-to-day basis how well these items are selling. And I can also monitor their sales price and their inventory for those days. So this is really powerful information to have, and it helps you kind of like monitor your competitors on a day-to-day basis. The other thing that I really like about this is I can do things like add notes. So this isn't a way for me to collect my thoughts that I have about these different items. So I might say like, look into the purple color. Save that note, and that's going to be saved to that respective product. And then there's other cool things I can do. Like up here, I see the sum the averages of all the products in here. And then on my overview tab over here to the left, it's an easy way for me to compare all the averages of all these different product groups that I'm tracking. So, once I've found these ideas, I like to put them in the product tracker, and this is how I'm keeping these ideas to come back to later and ultimately decide which types of products I want to sell. The niche hunter works pretty similarly to the product database. It's a way to search through to find different niche ideas. And now that I've given you kind of like a brief overview of how to find the products, I'm just going to give you a quick demo of how I go about finding suppliers. So the finding suppliers is a very powerful section that was just released a little bit earlier this year. And the reason that it's so powerful is we've collected all the data from government import trade records. And with this data, you can actually see who your competitors are using who they're using to source their products, okay? So, if I wanted, I could just type in right here, like mason jar, and this would show me the different factories that have shipped mason jars into the US. And it looks like right here that Michael's, which is a popular arts and crafts store here in the US, it looks like that's who their customer is. This is who Walmart uses to purchase their mason jars, and that's one way I could go about finding it. But my favorite way to go about finding it is instead of searching for a product, I search for a particular company, okay? And this will show you what factories this company is using. So this is one of the products that I sell. They're hooded baby towels. This isn't my company. This is just a competitor. But it's cool because I can type in their brand name. I see right here that Hudson Baby is actually owned by this company called Baby Vision Inc. I can click on that, and now it will actually show me what factories Baby Vision Inc. is using. So this is super cool because I can now look through all these different shipments, and I can see who their supplier was, and I can essentially just steal their supplier. So it's a really, really powerful thing and something that our customers have really been loving lately. You can see other things like the weight and the quantity of the shipments, and then you can dive into these factories more. So it's a very, very powerful thing. Let's jump into the keyword tool real quickly. I'll just give you a demo of kind of my favorite ways to go out using it. One way you can use it is just type in the main keyword. So let's do mason jar, since that's the product that we found for tonight. And this will show you the search volume on Amazon for this keyword. And it will also show you similar search terms and their search volumes. Now, the reason that Keyword Scout is so much more powerful than all of the competitors' keyword tools out there are one of the main reasons, is our ability to identify what search terms customers search for and then end up purchasing mason jars, okay? And if we look through this, I'm sure we can find some examples of this. I see different types of jars here, but then I see other things that don't necessarily include the search term mason or jar, like canning lids, okay? So people search for canning lids and then they end up purchasing mason jars, and that's why it's being shown to you in the list. So our keyword recommendation engine is very, very powerful, and that's what a lot of people love about it. Once I've found some keywords, I can add them to a list. We'll just do this real quickly. This is my mason jar list. I can create this list, and then I can go in here to our listing builder, and I can actually create a listing using the list that I just created. So mason jar, let's go next. And what's really cool about this is after you've used the keywords, it will actually cross it off your list. So if I do mason jars, and now, let's see, and as you can see right here, now it's crossed off mason jars and jars. So now that I've included those in my listing, it's telling me I don't need to include them again. So a really powerful thing. So I could go on and on about Jungle Scout and all the powerful things inside of it. like I said, I wanted to be able to answer a lot of your questions tonight, so I'm going to switch over to that momentarily. And if you want to find out more information about the Jungle Scout product and about selling on Amazon, I recommend that you drop into the Jungle Scout Academy, which you can find inside of Jungle Scout, and it will give you more information about some of the, or lots of the powerful features that I didn't cover tonight. Now, the extension is a little bit of a simpler product. It's simpler, yet still extremely powerful. Like I said, you install it into your Chrome browser, and when you run it, you get to see all these different pieces of data on here. Now, I think most of you guys watching this right now understand what most of these data points are, so let me cover a few things real quick that a lot of people sometimes don't realize that the extension can do. One of those things would be when you click on any of these blue pieces of text, it shows you historical data for as long as we have it for the product. So right here, I just clicked on one of our competitors' hooded baby towels, and I can see how many units they've sold per month ever since May of 2016. So that's obviously a pretty powerful thing, and it helps you pick up things like seasonality curves. You can do the same thing with price, the rank, as well as the daily sales. One of the other powerful things that a lot of people don't realize we have is with the FBA profit calculator. You can click on it, you can add your product costs or assume product costs, and it will show you what the profit would be after all of Amazon's fees. And it gives you some of those fees broken down right here inside of the calculator, and you can check those out. So that's a powerful thing. Down here, we have a few cool things. It links off to Google Trends. We have a keyword cloud. And then if you want to look at different data pieces, you can do so in here by clicking on the columns, and you can change the columns that are being shown. So I love the extension. It's something I use every single day, even if I'm not looking for new products to sell, just because it's so easy when I'm on Amazon to click on it. I get to see all these data points. I get to see how well my different competitors' products are selling. And as a result, I get lots of like really valuable pieces of feedback. So that will wrap it up for the demo. I just want to give you a quick demo to make sure kind of like we're all on the same page here. And now I'll actually switch over to some of the questions. So like I said, I'm going to start with the questions that you guys have already submitted. And then if we have time, I'll jump into some of the questions that are in the chat box. So the first one says, very important question. Can you put your brand on a product insert while having a website up with the exact brand name, like Jungle Sticks, and having a website called junglesticks.com? Doesn't that violate Amazon's policy about luring customers away from Amazon to your own website? And the answer to that is no. This actually is something that Amazon does allow. And if you think about it, you know, big brands like Sony or Panasonic or whatever else, like they'd probably have little product inserts where it's like a warranty card or whatever else inside of the packaging, like with their website on it. So that's something that Amazon doesn't seem to really care about if like you put your domain name either on your product insert or on your packaging. So that's fine. The next question is it possible to use Jungle Scout to launch products on other seller accounts like Shopify? Yes, you know, like people use Jungle Scout for a lot of other reasons besides the ones that I've necessarily covered tonight or besides the ones that we talk about and teach most often. You know, Amazon is a great gauge for the popularity of all products, you know, sold on any e-commerce channel. So by using Jungle Scout, you can really get to see like what's popular right now, you know, like what's trending, what's selling well, and yeah, then use that data even if you want to use it on other platforms. The next question is, why should we avoid seasonal products? Should I go with a product that sells well only during 6 months of the year? Well, the reason that I typically say avoid seasonal products, or the reason that I don't like them very much, is it's just, you know, okay, so I'll start with all products have a certain amount of seasonality to them, right? The reason that I prefer a product that at least sells a little bit all year long is otherwise, like cash flow is kind of tough, right? Like if you invest in a bunch of inventory, it doesn't sell out, and then you have to like hold on to it for 6 months before it sells again. Like that kind of stinks. Like you kind of want some, you really want that cash back in order to help grow your business. And the other thing is really just like the storage associated with storing at FBA and Amazon's warehouse. They start to charge these long-term storage fees, which can really add up. So that's why I personally don't like highly seasonal products. Like I said, all products will have a certain level of seasonality to them, but that's what I'd recommend. All right. The next question says, how to disentangle the sales on products that are grouped by a parent ASIN on Amazon. To me, it seems Jungle Scout is predicting only the total number of sales of the parent ASIN and not the individual sales numbers for each child ASIN. This is a great question. And how the extension works is if it's a category that Amazon uses the same bestseller rank for all of the child products, then we estimate the sales for that listing as a whole, okay? So that's in about 5 of the categories on Amazon. The rest of the categories, which is another 23 or 24 or something, Amazon actually assigns a separate ASIN for each child product. And when that's the case, Jungle Scout estimates sales based off of each child or like each of the child ASINs, not just the group as a whole, okay? So there's no way to, as you say, like disentangle the sales for the products that all have the same ASIN because Amazon's not really giving us any indicators about which child ASIN sells better than the other. Why are you guys teaching how to sell successfully on Amazon? Is teaching more profitable than selling stuff on Amazon? Good question. So, I myself, I'm still an Amazon seller. That is how I was able to quit my job. And, some people ask, okay, like, how do you decide how much time to spend on Jungle Scout versus your Amazon business? Or why do you spend more time on one than the other? And I used to have a little bit of this mindset, like back when I was working my corporate job of like, how can I make enough money so that I don't have to worry about, work anymore or, so I guess for me, at first it was all about the money. And a big piece of that is because that's what I was worried about at the time. I didn't want to have to go back to this job that I used to really hate. So, then I think once I kind of got past that phase and was no longer worried about having to go back to my engineering job that I hated, then I started to think about more of okay, how can I spend my days to maximize my happiness? What makes me the happiest? How do I want to spend my days? And for me personally, teaching and helping other entrepreneurs and working with small businesses is something that brings me personally a lot of happiness. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners kind of go through this phase that phase one is kind of hey, I need to make sure to make enough money so this thing doesn't, go out of business or I have to go back to my other job or move back in with my parents or whatever else. And then after that, you can really start to kind of maximize for happiness. So that's my answer. I think different people probably teach about selling on Amazon for different reasons, but that's personally why I do it and why here at Jungle Scout, we produce so much free content because I really do enjoy helping entrepreneurs. It's something that brings me a lot of happiness. Let's see. The next one says, in the extension, why are there missing fields? For example, daily sales, revenue for items, as many as 700 reviews. Let's see. So the reason for that is because Amazon doesn't give us the data that we need to either estimate the sales or other data points that are just missing in there, like the dimensions, and you need the dimensions to be able to calculate the profit. So what it all comes down to is what's available from Amazon. Their catalog's not perfect and they're missing data points. Oh, excuse me. And since they're missing those data points, that's why we can't show it. All right. I'm currently searching for my first product. My goal at the end of the first 3 years is to create $250,000 per month in net profit. Would you keep all the products you have ever launched or sell the assets so you can move into a higher price point to keep moving upwards? So to answer that, I would actually, since you're thinking about selling the business, I am actually a fan of that with Amazon businesses, because when you have an inventory business, the cash flow is a major hurdle for a lot of people growing the businesses. So to be able to build this asset, sell it, get the cash from it, and then use that cash to build your next business faster is something that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs do quite well. And since it seems like you're considering that, I think that's actually a pretty good idea. Second, is it better to spend your energy and money working within the Amazon platform for marketing rather than creating external social media groups and try to get them into Amazon from the external community? There's no right or wrong answer here. I personally devote 99% of my brain power for my physical products business into Amazon. And the reason for that is I think that a lot of people don't value the amount of time and effort it takes to do a lot of these other things, kind of like driving traffic from social media to your own website, okay? And when I look at e-commerce as a whole, Amazon just growing in share every single year. And I mean, honestly, that's just kind of where e-commerce happens now. So, I mean, that's the reason that I personally choose that. But like I said, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's kind of whatever you feel like you're best at. Do you have any prior experience running your own business? Yes, I actually have lots of experience running my own business. Did you have any fear when you were first starting out? Absolutely. And this is a really good question, because most entrepreneurs have a lot of fear when they're starting their business. They're worried about all kinds of things, getting their money when they put the deposit down in China taken, or Amazon shutting down their account, or not being able to figure out how to do a certain aspect of it. And there's all these things that entrepreneurs always worry about and, lay in bed at night being worried about. And some of them, might turn into real things, but I'd say 90% of them actually don't turn into any kind of problems. And entrepreneurs are just the types to typically worry about a lot of this stuff. So yes, I had fear when I was first starting out. And I think everyone in the chat box probably has a certain level of fear if they're just starting out as well. 6 weeks ago, I launched a private label board game. It's a completely new game. I've been promoting on Instagram and using Amazon PPC. I'm running an automatic campaign and a few manual campaigns, mostly exact and phrase. In one of your tutorials, your goal is an ACoS of 25%. I'm still at 100 to 250%. Generally, how long would a new private label product take to get to 25%? For me, it usually takes 2, 3, 4 months to get down to my target ACoS, and 25% is my target ACoS for a lot of my products. Realistically, though, a lot of them are closer to 30, 35%, maybe even 40%, depending on the product. And it's not something that happens overnight, because you have to be able to drive a significant amount of sales to these products through these keywords in order to optimize these listings. Let's see. This one says, "Hi CEO Greg, can you tell me how to organize keywords from Jungle Scout to title, bullet points, and backend keywords? Can you give me a sample?" The way that I think about this is, I use the tool that I was just showing you guys that you all have access to, which is our listing builder. I create a keyword list, and then the highest search volume keywords I include in my title. And then the rest of them, I don't really have a preference over the bullet points versus description, but I want to make sure to include all those keywords. So if you're looking for an example, feel free to check out some of my products. You can check out some of our case study products that we publicly share, like the Jungle Sticks and the Jungle Snugs. Feel free to check them out, and you can kind of see a good example there. Hi, Greg. I live in Canada. I'm not a seller yet, but I'm learning to become one soon. My question is, as a new seller, can I sell in the US market? Yes, absolutely. So pretty much anyone from all around the world can sell in pretty much any market, okay? There's a few exceptions to that rule, but as a general rule of thumb, that's true. And people oftentimes ask me like, hey, I live here, should I sell there or here or whatever else? And what I always recommend is that you sell in whatever market is the easiest or least intimidating for you to sell in. And there's already enough hurdles with getting started as an entrepreneur, and I don't want to add any additional hurdles to that. There's plenty of opportunity in all these different markets. That's why I always recommend just selling in whatever market is like the easiest or like the least frightening for you. They say also, which season of the $1 Million Case Study do you recommend for me to follow to start selling? I'd recommend season 4. It's our latest one, latest and greatest. And Amazon changes over time, and we're updating our tactics and the way that we teach over time to kind of stay current with modern day Amazon. Is there an easy way to determine whether a potential product has a patent, trademark, or copyright associated with it so we don't get into trouble later on? Yes, the easy way trademarks are easy. Go to uspto.gov, and there's something called TESS, TESS, and that's, I don't know what it stands for, trademark search engine, whatever it is. And you just search for the trademark in there, and that's a very easy way to determine whether or not there's a trademark. Patents are a little bit more complicated, and the only way to be 100% sure that you're not violating any patents is to hire a lawyer. But lawyers are expensive, and most people realistically don't really need to hire them to check whether or not something's patented, okay? Now, there's some easy ways that I've developed to be able to determine, like, with pretty high degree of certainty whether or not something's patented. And I look in a few different areas. Like one, I just Google the product with patent attached to it. I check in, you can either do uspto.gov or the Google patent database, and I search in there. I also see if there is a patent number stamped on the product, which is very common if it's patented. And then I also just check the website of my competitors, okay? And I guess one other kind of easy way to go about doing it is you can check on another pretty good telltale is whether or not there's a lot of other sellers selling a very similar product. Typically, people who have patents, at least good patents, enforce them. So it's unlikely that you'll see a whole bunch of other people selling pretty much the same product if that product is patented, because otherwise that seller would probably be enforcing it. Let's see here. Is there a way to find out what keywords are being converted into sales for a product? No, unfortunately, there's not really. The best way to do that would be to type in the ASIN into Keyword Scout, which is inside of Jungle Scout, and it will show you what search terms people search for and then end up purchasing that product. Now, so that's pretty darn close. I guess that's actually what you're asking, but what it won't give you is the conversion rate for those respective keywords for that product. It just shows you that, okay, these are the keywords that people search for and end up purchasing it. I go through the Niche Hunter and product database, and it's still really hard to find any products to sell. I'd say don't get discouraged. This is one of the most time-consuming parts, and it's also one of the most important parts. So I'd say, use maybe some of the tips tonight, or check out our YouTube channel where there's a whole bunch of other in-depth information. And with that, I think you should be able to find a good product to sell with that and enough time. What if the supplier you checked, Trasosource in Alibaba, is the supplier for the current Amazon competitors? I think that's fine. One of the nice things about that is what you're going to get. You can read the reviews that your competitors get, and you can probably expect something pretty similar. How long did you operate your FBA business at a loss before seeing actual profits? What drove the loss and eventual profits? Now, if we're talking about profit or loss, like on a cash basis, it would be very common for any inventory business to lose a significant amount of money before they start making any money, okay? And I mean, this is really true with all businesses in general, but especially physical products businesses. I think for me personally, I was like reinvesting pretty much every dollar that I was making back into the business for I think at least like the first year or two before I started to generate enough profits that I felt like I could take it out to like pay myself and have enough money to invest back inside the business. I've been selling retail arbitrage and online arbitrage items for a little over a year. Would you recommend using my same seller storefront when launching my first private label product or make a new account? What if my account health isn't fantastic? I would recommend using the same account. Amazon actually doesn't allow having multiple accounts, so you can kind of get yourself in trouble for it. And honestly, none of the customers are going to no one ever looks at your storefront to see what other items you have. So I would just use the same account. And over time, with especially like a FBA, your account health will get better. Is it allowed to list a Shopify store product on Amazon and sell it through Amazon? Yeah, absolutely. Amazon allows you to sell on whatever other marketplaces you want. Can I sell brand products like Nike on Amazon by being authorized by the brands? Yes, you can. In my opinion, one of the reasons that Amazon really took off and really took over other marketplaces like eBay was the fact that they only have one listing per SKU on Amazon, okay? I think this is why they became so successful for two reasons. One, it's a better user experience because you get to go there and there's not 100 listings that are all selling the same thing, right? And two, this makes all the different sellers compete on price. Now, so what a lot of people don't realize with that is since there's only one listing per SKU, if it's your private label product, you're the only one selling that, so there's not going to be any other sellers on it. If you're selling a pair of Nike shoes just like everyone else, then you're actually competing on that same listing, and Amazon allows almost everyone to sell any product. There's some exceptions there because there's been some lawsuits from brands that unauthorized people are selling their brand name or whatever else. But for most products, you can sell them on Amazon even without being authorized by the brand. Are there any legal issues when it comes to private labeling, such as having to make your company an LLC, trademarking, etc.? This is a business just like any other business would be. In the United States, you can run a sole proprietorship without creating an LLC. You don't have to trademark, but these are all things that you should at least consider when creating a business. What are the recommended categories to do product research? I recommend all the categories except categories that include a lot of complex products like electronics, or categories where it's typical for people to really want a brand or have a brand allegiance. So what I mean by that is Nike shoes or watches or items that it's more common for people to want the brand name that they know about as opposed to a private label brand. Can I order the shipment of my products from the Amazon warehouse to a client who made the purchase on another website made by me in order to get more sales? Yes, you can use Amazon as your third-party fulfillment center and ship your products wherever you want. New private labeler, does it matter when starting out on Amazon to form an LLC? Can I just go with the individual and form the LLC later? Yes, technically you're allowed to do that. There's a few benefits from an LLC. I'd say there's two main benefits. One would be it gives you the liability protection. So if you were to get sued, which is unlikely for most private label people, but it is possible, then they could they're only supposed to be able to take the assets that are inside of your LLC or this legal entity. That's one big nice benefit. The other benefit is like it's just like a little bit cleaner, especially down the road if you want to like sell this business or when you're doing your accounting or whatever else, to have a separate LLC and a separate bank account and those types of things. But technically you can get started on Amazon without an LLC, and I'd say a fair amount of people do choose to do so to test it out and then decide whether or not they want to get, whether or not they're serious about it, I guess, to get or create a legal entity. How important is it to have semantically relevant products, or does it matter if I brand multiple things but they're not related, like categories/products? There's a lot of different opinions about this. My personal opinion is that it doesn't matter if these different products are related, okay? Now, this is the probably lesser common opinion. I'll be the first to admit that. But the reason that I believe this is that when customers go to Amazon and they type in the search term for the product that they're looking for, okay, they don't go in there to search for your brand because you don't really have that much brand awareness and honestly probably never will. So because of that, I think it's fine to just sell whatever and just like put the same generic brand on it, because like I buy 99.9% of everything that I purchase off of Amazon. I don't know if I've ever once in my entire life like gone there and like typed in a brand. I just go in there and type in like water glasses, or I go in there and type in, whatever, this, that, or the other thing. It's pretty rare for me to type in a brand name. Instead, I'm looking for a type of product. So that's my opinion on it. Could you please recommend all factors to deep research on each product before doing FBA? What I would recommend for you is I would recommend going to the $1 Million Case Study, Season 4, and check out the first 2 or 3 episodes, because that's when I really go in deep on how to do product research, because I give a lot more detail than what I'd be able to give in like this hour long webinar tonight. Given the saturation of people that focus on this business, what strategies do you have to stay ahead of the other people looking to copy and mimic this strategy? I think a time-proven, like battle-tested business strategy is to find a product that's in demand, but people want improvements on. Like, that's not a new concept. That idea, that concept, this business strategy has been around since the beginning of time, okay? It's like, this is never gonna go out of style, and it doesn't matter how many people wanna get into it, like that's always gonna be the case. And I think that's why a lot of my best products are the products I made improvements to and sold them, and then these products were now better than the competitors, okay? So that's what I'd recommend you focus on. I'd recommend you find a product that you can make some changes or make some improvements to, sell that, and that's what will help you kind of always stay ahead of the competition. The competition is to be continuously kind of innovating and improving your product. People in the Facebook group question the quality of the data in the Jungle Scout database. What do you say about the quality of the JS database, price/sales accuracy, etc.? Now, the product database inside of Jungle Scout, it has close to 1 billion products in it. And now not all of those products are updated. The products are not updated in real time, okay? We go through and we update each of them. I forget the exact number, like once every 7 or 10 days or something like that. And it's constantly rotating through all of them. But sometimes you might find one that's 7 days, like data that's like 7 days old. And because of that, the price could be a little bit different now. Maybe they have 1 or 2 more reviews, those types of things. So it still serves its purpose, and it's still a great way to help you find product ideas. But it's not necessarily always 100% up to date. Now, the sales accuracy, if you go to our blog or you just search Jungle Scout AccuSales case study, we did this cool case study where we checked the accuracy of our sales estimates and actually compared it to our top 10 competitors. And the result of it was we were the most accurate for all the tools in the entire industry. And it's about plus or minus 15%. Okay. So is it completely accurate? No, it's not. But plus or minus 15% is close enough to get a great understanding of how much demand there is for a particular market. Will you be offering the Australian market in Jungle Scout soon? We'd like to offer all of the marketplaces in Jungle Scout soon. Australia would be on that list, but I unfortunately don't have a great date for you when that will be released. How much stock do you initially order? I usually order 3 months to get started. Do you recommend listing a starter product with just a few pieces just to get used to selling on Amazon before going all in with a private label customized product? That's actually not a bad strategy. I think you learn a lot when you just list something on Amazon and send it into Amazon and sell it. So, if you want to just purchase 5 products off AliExpress or somewhere else and send them into Amazon just so you can kind of get the hang of it, I don't think you would regret it. This question is, how often is the Jungle Scout database update? I think it's roughly every 7 days. Every product roughly every 7 days. I think actually the more popular products get updated a little bit more than that. When will Keyword Scout be available for the EU markets? Soon. That is high on the priority list. I know they're almost done with it, so it should be released soon. Have you experienced any black hat tactics against you on Amazon? If so, how have you combated them? With any business, any marketplace, whatever else, there's always going to be some bad actors there, and the same's true on Amazon. I think Amazon does a pretty good job about stomping this stuff out. I don't think there's any black hat tactics that are rampant and have been around for a while. I think people are doing illegal stuff, and I think most of them get caught and get their Amazon accounts banned. So I guess I haven't experienced anything that significantly harmed a product or a business. I've gotten some reviews that 1 star that seemed a little fishy, and it's it seems like there's a pretty good chance it's probably one of my competitors, but at the end of the day, that's just one review. I'm getting a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of other good reviews to kind of offset that. So I don't really lose sleep over it. What has your experience been like, if any, on other Amazon marketplaces, Canada, UK, etc.? And what have been some of the better categories to launch in for those markets? I've only ever sold in the US and the UK. UK overall, less demand, but there's still plenty of products that sell, plenty of units for me to be really happy with it. So that was kind of my overall experience. The EU, I'd say a few added headaches with some of the tax stuff, but it's not that big of a deal. I think that was kind of my experience with it. Please talk about the process of obtaining barcodes for your products. The correct way to do it is to use to get your barcodes from something called GS1. And again, actually, if you go back to $1 Million Case Study Season 4, I think we do a whole video, or at least a good portion of one of the videos on exactly how to do this. It's, without having someone walk you through it, it is a little bit complicated, but we do step-by-step throughout that video exactly how to obtain these barcodes. So that's what I recommend for you. How to get the first 21 reviews without using friends, family, or the early reviewer program. I always have lots of questions about how to get reviews. And ultimately, you have to make sales to get reviews. All right. How do you make initial sales? Well, you can do things like PPC. You can give away coupons. You can do a promotion somewhere else. These are all ways you can help you get sales. And then really the best way to improve the number of reviews that you get are by sending a follow-up email, and Jungle Scout actually has that functionality built into it now. So if you're using Jungle Scout, you can use the email campaign feature to automatically send follow-up emails asking for a review, which will significantly increase the amount of reviews that you end up getting. How do you find relevant influencers that will actually post content that will bring sales? My experience from working with influencers has been pretty hit or miss, and mostly misses. There's a number of platforms online, you can just search for them, that help connect you with influencers. whether that means just giving you their contact info or you have to message them through their platform or whatever else. This is a good way to find influencers, but just know that like on these, you'll typically have to pay a decent amount. Still quite a few questions in this list, but let me hop into the live chat real quick and just see if there are a few in here I could help you guys out by answering. Misha said, hey guys, where do you post your questions? These questions are obviously not coming from this live chat. They posted those in a email that was sent out after purchasing the Prime Day bundle, submitting questions for me to answer. Hey Greg, what do you think about LED lighting string? Is it a good product to sell or is it dangerous? I personally don't really like selling electronics type products like that. That being said, a lot of people do and have good success with it, so I kind of leave that up to you. Let's see. What can be done if your products are being shipped / freight forwarded to the fulfillment center, but a few of the items in the box are missing? Is this a common problem? Let's see. There's always going to be quality problems with any physical products that you purchase, right? So, yes, it is possible that this does happen to me, and this does kind of happen to everyone. So, yeah, I'd say it's a common problem. For me, I usually factor in about 2 to 3% of my units are defective. And that's what I kind of expect for you as well. All right. Misha just submitted one new question that says, what software do you use to handle your Amazon taxes, like TaxJar, etc.? Taxes are always like the kind of a difficult thing for Amazon sellers, and there's two different types of taxes. Like one's just your income taxes. This is like the profit you make on your business. You owe, assuming you're in the US, you owe taxes on that profit. And the second one is the sales tax, and there are a few different pieces of software. TaxJar is a good one, Avalars are another one, and these will help you pay those taxes. I'm not really an expert in this area, but I know those are like fairly common and can help you quite a bit. All right, we have a few minutes left before we're at top of the hour. So I'm gonna dive back into the pre-submitted questions since there's not too many questions in the chat box right now. What are the best business models in terms of profit and risk? Wholesale, private label, something else? Of those different business models that you just laid out there, wholesale, private label, or something else, me personally, I think there's more factors to take into account than just profit and risk. Scalability, the ability to sell the business, how much work's required to maintain the business. These are all important things I think you consider there. And all things considered, my personal preferred business model is doing the private label route. Let's see here. I am just getting started, so there's probably answers to this as I keep learning a lot, but I'm finding that when I look for products in the database, categories that I have unchecked sometimes still show up. Why is that? If you don't have any categories checked, then it just searches all of them, and I think that's probably what's happening. I'm based in the US. Can I choose another country market? And if so, what issues, complexities do I face? You can choose any market that you want. Most of the issues or complexities typically happen around legal or tax issues. That's the gist of it. Amazon itself is pretty similar in these other countries. Can you give me some insight into how you deal with the change in MOQ and pricing when requesting changes for improvement on a product? You know, advice I have for you is that keep in mind that everything is negotiable. So yeah, it sounds like what happened is probably you requested some changes and they said, okay, well, the MOQ is going to have to be higher. That's relatively common because, you know, if they have to make changes, they don't want to do it for these smaller orders. Yeah, you know, I'd say like if the deal doesn't work out for you, then it doesn't work out, and just keep in mind everything with it's negotiable. Let's see. Is there a way of exporting more than a page of 200 results at once? Ideally, it'd be good to export thousands of products at once. No, unfortunately, you can just export one of the pages at a time. I've noticed in the Chrome extension that some products have a low rating, low number of reviews, and low monthly sales, yet rank higher than what appears to be a better product. Why is this? I mean, you know, Amazon's algorithm, of course, is what decides how to rank these products. And in that scenario, typically what's happening is that Amazon's algorithm believes that the products that they're ranking higher have a higher likelihood to convert for that respective keyword. Now, people find that keyword or that product by searching all different types of keywords. So the other ones that are selling more, they're probably getting more of their sales through other keywords. When you're working as a civil engineer, those original dozen or so products you were selling that enabled you and your wife to quit your jobs, were they private label or wholesale? They were private label. All right, so we have 3 minutes left, and I think I got a few new questions in the live chat box. I'll answer these real quick, and then we will wrap it up for the evening. In the Jungle Scout Chrome extension, how do I add all the products to the My Product Tracker? Is there a way to do a bunch of them at the same time? It's funny because I was actually in a meeting today where we were talking about improvements to the Chrome extension, and that was one of the things that we're working on. Right now, there's not a way to do that, but hopefully in the near future, there will be too. There will be the ability to do so. Hey, Greg, how do I know when a product is dead? I don't know exactly what you mean by when a product is dead. If it's your own product, then of course you'll see that the sales aren't as good. Yeah, sorry, I don't know really what you mean besides that. Steve said, I've sold a couple hundred units and I've gotten Amazon emails for 2 returns. I've filed cases, but they say wait 45 days. One of the reasons was product not received. I'm FBA, so how is this possible? Do you have general tactics for returns? You know, for selling a couple hundred units and only getting 2 returns, that's pretty darn good. You know, like my bamboo, like out of my case study products, my bamboo sticks are one of the least return products. I think they have a 3 or 4% return rate, but some of my products have a 10 or 12% return rate. So 2 out of 200, that's only 1%. I wouldn't be too worried about that, to be honest. Can I use the product database and search with US selected as country if I'm from the UK? Yeah, absolutely. Any plans for $1 Million Case Study Season 5 coming soon? We don't really know for sure. We're trying to decide what we want to do as far as content. If you guys have any feedback, we'd love to hear it either in the chat box or in the comments. We're always looking how we can create better and better content, so I'd love to hear it from you guys. Well, guys, that is the top of the hour, and I've also answered all the questions out of the chat box. We'll go ahead and wrap it up for the evening. Thank you very much for staying all the way to the end. I've really enjoyed it. I love reading you guys' questions, and hopefully you found a lot of value through my responses, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.